Okay, so hello, I'm Dr. Martha. I'm a clinical psychologist. I've been working with children and their families for over 20 years, and I'm also a mother of two. One who is in year one, finishing year one, I guess, because it's the beginning of summer term, and a little one who is 20 months old. And I am really looking forward to this conversation today with you, Jess, because I'm really passionate about children, development, supporting parents to think about what they need to focus on, but also thinking about the things that they can kind of relax about or make fun and entertaining. And I think school readiness is one of those big topics that lots of parents feel really anxious about. So I'm really excited to get into this conversation with you. But let us, first of all, tell us who you are.
Hello, so I'm Jess. I am the founder of Support to Enhance. I'm also a primary school teacher and a mum of two. I've also got a girl starting school in September. So this is really applicable to us and our family. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to talking about this as well, because everything that I do is to support, like yourself, families and, support them with children's development and helping them, support them at home in really super easy ways and taking the pressure off. So yeah, it's going to be really, really good to sort of debunk a lot of the myths and really talk about what school readiness actually is. I think that's one of the really challenging things, is the actual definition of school readiness and what it is. So yes,
Do you want to start
looking forward to it. Yes.
Do you want to start there? Do you want to tell us what school readiness is as a teacher? What does that mean for you?
So as a teacher, but also as a parent, for me, school readiness it comes in two pillars, if you like. So school readiness, I talk about this actually quite a lot on social media. I don't actually like the term school readiness. I think it's quite broad. I think it adds quite a lot of pressure and, it causes a lot of confusion. But just to sort of define it, so you've got, two pillars, as we've said. And the first one is the developmental milestones that children need to have achieved before we start thinking about the academic side of things. So, are they as independent as they can possibly be? Are they able to feed themselves with child-friendly cutlery? Are they toilet trained? Are they able to communicate clearly? Which obviously we'll get into a little later. That's just, for me, that's the definition. It really is separating it into those two things. Would you agree with that?
So the developmental and then the academic bit?
Oh, sorry. Yes, that's the academic. Yes, the next one would be the academic.
So you're
run away on a tangent there.
So just for me, for clarity, the developmental bit that you're talking about is feeding independently.
Yeah.
Using the toilet independently.
Yeah.
And then you said a couple of others. Communication. What does that mean? Communication from you as a teacher.
Yes. So being able to communicate clearly their needs and wants, but also being able to listen to instructions and follow instructions. Can they understand what they're being asked, what's being asked of them? There's lots of routines in school, lots of instructions to follow all the time.
Yes.
Actually we take for granted. And, for a child, actually, there's a lot going on.
Yes.
Even what they're hearing, for the older children, it's can be quite overstimulating. So yes. I think being able to talk about, how they're feeling, is a really big one. And obviously I know you do a lot of work on this as well, is really giving them the tools to be able to label how they're feeling and, having that sort of familiarity with emotions and what they are and, and being comfortable with those to say how they're feeling, because it can be overwhelming.
So I love that, Jess. And I think the one thing I would add that you've already mentioned for me is about emotional literacy. So helping children understand how they're feeling. So the words, I feel sad, or I feel angry, or I'm scared of something. And to do that, parents have to focus on teaching them about emotions at home and teaching them what does this feel like in their little bodies so that they can express themselves. Because for me, as a clinical psychologist, one of the things that I'm very aware of is that our brain cannot absorb information if we're feeling heightened emotion. And if children are feeling stressed, or if they're feeling really sad because they miss, I'm thinking about reception, beginning reception, they're missing their parents and they're incredibly sad. They're not learning. They're not trying to teach in those moments. It's not going to work because their brains are flooded with emotion. for me, emotional regulation and emotional literacy has to come first. It's kind of part of school readiness.
Yeah.
And it is a focus that I always say to parents, please focus on emotions, like a nice to have. This is an essential ingredient if your kids are going to do well at school. You agree with that?
1000%. And I think that's why these milestones, particularly what you're talking about, emotional literacy, they're so important, because if one of them hasn't been met, or this is not to put pressure on parents at all. If there's something to be worked on, then work on that. It's not like a checklist. You don't need to be feeling, oh my gosh, they're not doing that yet. Just work on that one thing. As long as you're working on those, that's the best thing. But if one of those hasn't been met, even to a degree, then it can hinder learning. It can be a barrier. It's not going to hinder. It's just a complete barrier. We can't even go there. So it's the same with I completely agree with the emotional literacy. It really feeds into that. How important.
Do you have any ideas of how parents can prepare their children with that first pillar that you've already mentioned around, independent skills, toileting, asking for help, or communicating their feelings? What kind of things do you think parents can be doing at home? Let's say there's parents probably going to listen to this with their kids starting reception in September. Could they be building or doing with their kids?
So lots and lots of discussion, lots and lots. I really love teaching through stories. I think reading together, it's been really powerful for us. And it just allows you to discuss topics that are not related to us. It's about something else. It takes that pressure away. We're talking about something that, in a really comfortable space with a close family member. You're talking about those things. You can get there's lovely books on starting school. And just even the books that you're reading, there'll be lots of ways to link the discussions around the text to the things that you want them to be working on for preparing for school. I think that's a really good way. But also lots and lots of positive praise around what they're doing. Have a think about just what we discussed today. If I say anything to parents, when you come away from it, think these are the things that we want to be focusing on. So when I see them, we're going to really praise them. They might want a reward chart if there's something you want to focus on specifically, or lots of verbal positive praise, lots of recognition for what they're doing. Wow, that's amazing. You just did your coat up all by yourself. That's so amazing. I'm so proud of you. Luna, like I started to say to me, Luna, look at Delilah. That's amazing. Just really, I think we underestimate how powerful that is. And it's really powerful in school. So I'm sure it's really powerful in home too.
Yes, I think that's lovely. I also use a lot of books. I have a favourite book for school. You've probably heard it. It's not like super special, but it's called something like All Are Welcome. I think it's called All Are Welcome.
Lovely.
It's really thin. It's lovely. But what I love about this book is that it's got these beautiful double-paged images with very few words. And I'm one of those people who I will read lots of stories to my kids, but I also have books where I just like them for the pictures. I build my own story. Like, I don't read the book, especially at this age when they're really little. But I will open up this book. So one of them's like at the kitchen, like at the canteen, like the school. Lots of kids around the tables. So first of all, you can see the kind of busyness in the picture, which I think is great because you can talk about that. Often kids have never had lunch in that kind of environment.
No.
But also I love asking kids questions about who do you think you'd be here? So there's the kid who's like refusing to eat. There's the kid who's eating everything. There's a kid with a bit of sandwich. There's a kid kicking a ball. There's all sorts on the picture. I help children visualize themselves in that new environment. Obviously, it's a story, but it's a really good way of separating them because it offers that separation. And it allows them to explore and experiment and kind of imagine. And as a parent, if your child gets stuck, some kids look at it and go, I don't know. It's a really helpful thing to have pictures like that where you can say, I think you're like this. I've seen you be like this at nannies or at parties or whatever.
That's lovely. Yeah.
And then you can build on that. And again, using lots of praise. I always say, try and be really positive about it. Even if you think your kid's going to be the one running around the classroom, you can be the parent who says, I think you might struggle to sit still for a long time and you might want to be the kid who runs around with a ball. So what do we need to tell your teacher to help you focus or sit for a bit long, whatever it is? So I love the idea of using stories because it's something that I do. And I think it's one of those really easy tools that you've all got books at home. Like parents have books. Just grab them, have a look at the images or the stories, read them with your kids and open up the conversation. I think that's lovely.
Amazing. Yeah, I love that. I'm definitely going to take that away for my own. That's something that's really interesting, definitely getting them to visualize who they are in that situation. And because obviously some parents will have children who haven't attended nursery or childcare settings. So, that's going to be really powerful for them. But even my children who do go to a nursery, it's quite small. Like you say, I didn't really think about that. And going into a dinner hall.
The dinner hall
that
is so busy.
Stimulating.
And also, I guess, the one thing I would say to parents, as a mum who's had a kid who's now in like year 1, I think the dinner hall can be quite challenging for parents as well, because I think lots of parents want to know what their kids have eaten. And for me, it's more about the fact that my child eats anything at school. I feel like they need to replenish their energy. Because they're using their brain needs food. Like when we eat, we're also feeding our brains. And so even though they're sitting in class, they're using a lot of energy. I think the dinner hall can sometimes be the kind of environment that makes some kids not want to eat anything because it's anxiety provoking. It's a stressful environment. It's loud. It's echoey. There's kids everywhere. Some of them are eating really well. Some of them are not. There's kids everywhere. I don't know, our dinner hall I know is very echoey. The kind of noise gets doubled. And it's, even if your kid goes to a nursery, it's just not the same. It's not until you're 30 kids, it's 100. There's 100 kids in that dinner hall. There's a lot of literally. So I feel as a parent, I want you to be reassured that if your child just has one bite of a sandwich, that's okay. Make sure you've got a snack at pickup. Make sure you give them a good breakfast. It's often temporary as they settle. They want to eat better. But at first, they might not eat very much. And I would say that's pretty normal. I don't know. Do you agree? That's what I would say. But
that's great. Yes, definitely. Even the older children can find it overstimulating and noisy and struggle and with their eating. So I guess it's just about planning for that and trying not to worry too much. But it is something that I'm even thinking myself, will she eat? Will she not? So it is definitely a worry for parents, but it will settle down as they become more familiar and comfortable with the dinner hall.
And as a teacher, when, the new reception class turns up, what are the kind of main challenges that you see in the kids? What are the things they tend to struggle with more?
So they can vary. Like we talked about, it is those milestones, the developmental milestones that they've not quite reached yet to be as independent as possible. So they might struggle to find their belongings or zip up their coat and put their things on. So it's just lots of fine motor practice at home can really help with that. The dexterity and the strength in their muscle, strength in their hands and fingers. Lots of things that you can do at home, that like stickers and using play scissors and lots of mark making. That can all help with that as well.
So you're saying they don't just have to tell them, hold this pencil, write your name.
No, I wouldn't even go there.
Great. Tell me more.
For us, there's quite a journey to go on for children to be able to form letters and numbers. So that really needs to come way later on, because we need to be helping them develop the strength in their hands and fingers. And this can come from lots of different things. Like I said, stickers, using paintbrushes and water, chalk, lots of different sized writing materials.
Fingers, right? Like, I love all of this that you're saying, Jess. I think this needs to be said like louder. So I'm telling you, like, tell me again. Because I think when we talk about fine motor skills, parents get stuck on this idea of hold the pen, hold the pencil. And I'm like, that's not it. But I would say even, I don't know, you can correct me if I've got this wrong, but I would say even finger food, like cuts, carrots, cutting, all that stuff. But also get them to like scissors. Pick things with their hands. Scissors, all that kind of peeling bananas.
Plasters. They love
absolutely. Stickers, plasters, all that kind of stuff. And even like finger painting is great, or drawing with sand. You could trace building many things. All those things help with and I think parents like miss it. Even so, I've got a 19-month-old and she got some new kicks yesterday. Lucky kid. Her feet have grown. They've got Velcro, and she spent ages. I just let her do it. Like
Yeah.
pulling it off and putting it back down. Pulling it. She can't put her shoes on yet. She's like 19. But she was
that's great.
She was really enjoying it. And there's loads of toys with Velcro, or I just zippers. Let your kids play with zips and poppers and all those kind of things.
Poppets,
and even poppets.
Brilliant.
I was going to say fidget toys. They are so good for those muscles. I think.
Perfect. All of those things. And it's, for me, I've never really said, come on, we're going to get a pencil. In fact, I've never said that.
Exactly.
I've never said, let's get a pencil and practice writing. It's so much more powerful when children initiate themselves.
Yeah.
And just as an example for us, I've never said, let's sit down and write sounds or numbers. It's come so naturally, and that's how it should be, especially in the early years, that it should be child initiated. And that's where you're going to see that progress. And if you've worked on those fine motor skills and, you've developed that strength, they're going to be confident to do that, to take that leap themselves. So I think that's really great to be doing that.
I love that. And I guess from all of this that you've said and like we've just talked about, the one takeaway for me as a mum is you don't have to do anything other than just give them the opportunity to use their hands in lots of contexts.
Yes.
And if you really want to do something, this is something I used to do. Kids love sand or mud. Like we've got a little mud kitchen. Just get some sand. And I would say you can include a pencil, but they're not going to be writing in the sand. But it's just to like a stick, stuff to stir, stuff to put in things.
Do you know what else is really good as well? Having lots of things in the back, like lots of different containers, so they can develop that hand-eye, because they need that hand-eye coordination to be able to write. So it's that pouring. That. Yeah. My little girl, she's really into the pouring. Yeah. Yes.
A little. I used to do this actually. I haven't done that recently. New trick for the bath, but like what's it called? A Ziploc. Do a couple of holes in it and then give it to them, and then they pour it and then it comes out.
Oh, amazing!
The hours of fun of just it's a cheat.
Amazing.
Or a colander.
Yes,
they love the water coming out.
Yeah. Yeah, it's all so good. And I think this hopefully going to bring parents comfort to know that they've got those things accessible. It's just
so
easy. Pulling things out or moving things around to make it look more exciting.
Yeah, and you don't have to spend money.
No.
You can be super creative. Like you've got all these things in your house is what I also want to say. You don't have to go out and buy loads of stuff. Like it's already there.
And cutting up spaghetti is a really good one too.
Nice.
Cold spaghetti, like just put it in. You could put it in the mud kitchen. Get them to just cut it up. It's a good
Love that. And we talked about fine motor skills, but the other thing around fine motor skills and independence is things like getting dressed.
Yeah.
I don't know what it's like at your school. I know you talked about codes, so let's have a chat about that. But in our school, children don't get changed into PE clothes anymore. They just go in full PE kit for the day.
It's the same.
I think that's quite standard now. But there are still occasions where they have to put things on, like sometimes shoes, because if they go to forest school, like we do, our school has a little forest school, like a couple of hours a week, I think they do. They've got to change into wellies and they got to wear like their little waterproofs and obviously their coat. So how would you, what kind of ideas have you got to help parents with kids who need to develop some of these independent skills around dressing or undressing?
You could have, I was thinking about this earlier actually, we have lots of dressing up things. So you could practice that. You're not really practicing your playing, but you're weaving it in that way. And just having a real observe. I think it's really important just to observe what your child's doing when they're getting dressed. Is there something that they're struggling with? And then work on that. Modelling is really powerful. Modelling, maybe you might make a rhyme or a song together, or you might put it into 2 steps. Knowing your child and what they need is going to be really crucial there. But yeah, I guess I always talk about this, and it's just really observing your particular child, because what works for one is not going to work for everybody. It's just about knowing what it is that they need to work on. They might not need to work on getting dressed. They might be really confident with that, but it might be another area like washing their hands. Or my eldest is 4 and she's quite well into 4, but we've only really, and I was saying this before the meeting, we've only just really mastered toilet training. So these parents, I don't want you to think, wow, we've got it all covered, because I was really worried as a parent. And it's thankfully we're there. There's still the odd accident and things, but I was quite concerned. And that was something that we were just working on. I still got everything else, just really trying to work on that. So I do try and share that with parents as well. Just work on one thing. Don't overwhelm yourself with everything. Work on that one thing. And then when you've got that mastered, move on to something else.
Love that. I love that. Oh, I do want to talk about toilet training a little bit, but also I wanted to say on this topic, just as you said, work on one thing. I also think just make your life easy. In shoes, it's great.
Yes.
Or slip-ons, things that your kids don't have to be like, "Ah." They don't have to learn how to do laces at 3 or 4. It's okay. It's okay. Give your kids time.
Yes.
But I am saying that because sometimes I feel like parents can put pressure on themselves and then pressure on their kids to do steps that are more... Same with buttons. So some kids find buttons very tricky. Others do not. Every child is different.
Yes.
But there's so many uniforms now that do zips, like for girls.
Yes.
And even if they're wearing a little shirt or blazer, loads of them have poppers rather than buttons. So you just have to look around the shops. Same with trousers. Elastic with like one popper is way better maybe than loads of... And same with like waterproofs. You can get waterproofs that just have an elastic band, so they just pull them up. But make your life easy, basically. You don't have to get your kid to do all these skills like, as they start. See it as like a learning progression. So they're really confident with zips. You can like focus on buttons. It builds. And also as their fine motor skills grow, other things get easier too.
Become easier. And also I just think like, for me as a parent, we're not just going to start school exactly what you're saying. We're not just going to start school like, we're going to have lace up shoes. We're going to have this uniform that's totally different to what you have worn before.
Does happen, and they don't realise they've fallen into that trap of
course,
I've just put more pressure on myself.
Thinking that's we're just staying as close to nursery, and you know that she's going to be in a uniform. It's similar to what she's had on. I'll be looking for things like you say that are as close to what she's used to. Just keep everything as much as the same as possible.
And also when you do that, it can build up their confidence. That's how that happened to my eldest. She gets dressed for school, but it's always been simple. You know, she's just thrown something on and she's ready. And so it's made her feel really confident that she's, oh my God, I'm going to school, which is a little bit more grown up. And now I'm getting dressed by myself. Not totally by herself. We're there supervising. But she's 6 now. So it's different. And she brushes her hair now. Just to let people know, she's now at the place where she wants to do her hair. She'll even put it up and she does a really good job of it. And sometimes we don't touch it. I don't touch it. I'm like, you did that. I'm really proud of you. It doesn't have to be perfect.
No,
like,
that's lovely.
You're going to school and you're going to pull it off and
and that's so good for their self-confidence and taking that ownership.